Hi, I'm Haley from Storybrewers Roleplaying, and today I'll be explaining how to play Saltfish and Almanacs. In this game, you'll play a merchant embarking on their yearly journey of wonder and self-discovery. The game supports up to 4 players and has a solo play mode. It takes between 2 to 6 hours to play. Like all little box games, you don't need to prepare anything beforehand. Just open the box and get started. In this game, you'll play an itinerant merchant, embarking on their yearly trade route through new and familiar places. Experience life on the road, a tour through new delights and old memories. As you buy and sell goods, you'll craft your own story of love, discovery, and what it means to be parted. In the box, you'll find 10 towns in 2 types, inland towns and port towns. Each town has a visiting side and a hometown side. 6 long roads and 2 short roads. Roads have a spring side and an autumn side. You'll use these to form the map of the trade route you'll travel through. You'll also find 2 merchant company cards with a different merchant company on each side, 2 wagon bases and matching wagon meeples, 6 special item and traveler cards, 42 goods cards with 2 sides. Goods will start on the town side, but you'll flip them to their wagon side if you load them onto your wagon. And 4 double-sided reference cards. You'll also see 4 letter tokens. These are for the letter expansion, so I'll put these back in the box for now. Before you set off on your journey, there's a few preparations to make. Start by choosing the merchant company for your game. Your choice will set the tone for the journey and the individual merchants you play. Read the description aloud and choose one together. Next, choose a hometown for your merchant company. Start by deciding whether your merchant comes from a bustling port town or a smaller inland town. Then gather all the town cards of your chosen type and draw 2 at random. Read the descriptions on the hometown side and choose together. Today, we'll be playing the half-fire traders of Bergner. This bustling inland town is where we'll start our journey. Now that we have our starting location, let's prepare the rest of the map. To set up the map, start by placing your company and hometown cards in the center of the table, with both wagon meeples on their spaces. Place 1 short road on either side of the 2 cards, spring side up. Randomly draw 4 long roads and place them spring side up to form a square. Randomly draw 2 port towns and 2 inland towns. Place a town of the opposite type to your hometown on the top left corner. In this case, since Bergner is inland, we'll place a port town. Position the remaining towns on the map, alternating type. Shuffle all goods town side up to form a deck. Draw 4 and place them next to the map to form the goods array. If you have 3 or less players, randomly draw 2 special items and traveler cards and deal 1 face down under the top left and bottom right towns. Your map is now ready. Now it's time to create your merchants, load your wagons, and say goodbyes. Step 1 is to create your merchants. Choose 1 prompt from your merchant company as a starting point for your character. Then choose 1 quality from your hometown that describes your merchant and 1 that really doesn't. Lastly, decide on a few other details about your character, such as their name and age. Share this with the group. Next, divide into 2 wagons and take your wagon base. In a 2-player game, you'll each have your own wagon. With 3 players, 2 players will travel together and the third travels alone. With 4 players, you'll be split 2 and 2. Make sure your reference card is on the correct side, whether you're traveling together or traveling alone. If you're traveling with another player, you'll also need to decide which character is the port specialist and which character is the inland specialist. Specialists take point in and lead decision making in towns of their type. Step 2 is to load your wagon. To load a good onto your wagon, choose a question from the Load Your Wagon section of your hometown card, then answer it by choosing a good from the array and adding extra details to flesh out your response. When you're done, flip the good wagon side up and place it in your wagon. So for example, I might answer the question, what good is almost invisible when stowed? What part of yourself do you hide from others? By choosing the Glow Wasp Honey, because although the Glow Wasp Honey glows very brightly, once it is placed in a little jar and tucked into the wagon, you can barely see it at all. And that might be how my character feels about their job and having to fit in their everyday life. Take turns loading goods onto your wagon until both wagons have 2 goods. Step 3 is to say goodbyes. The last thing to do before you leave is to take turns setting scenes on leaving day. You can use the prompts on your hometown card for inspiration. Your journey is ready to begin. You'll make your way around the map from road to road again, until eventually it's time to head back home. Each spot on the map represents about a month of travel. In a full game, your journey takes 9 months, leaving in spring, traveling through autumn, and then arriving home in the first cold of winter. On your journey, you'll take turns moving your wagons clockwise one space around the map and performing the actions listed. You'll find a summary of all the actions on your reference card, but we'll talk through them now one by one. To begin your journey, move your wagon onto the short road of its matching colour. Short roads explore what your merchant is thinking as they begin and end their trip. Read the text on the road and answer it from their perspective. Once you're done, pop your short road on top of your wagon. As every traveller knows, you always carry a piece of the road with you. This short road can be used at any time to return home and end the game early. Next, you'll move your wagon onto your first long road. Long roads detail the kind of landscapes you travel through when making your way from town to town. Here you can choose to introspect or interact. If you're traveling with someone else, make the decision together. If you're traveling by yourself and you don't have a special item or traveler card, you must introspect. So what do these two options mean? If you introspect, you explore your merchant's inner thoughts as they travel these landscapes. Answer the question, what does this make you think of and why? If you're traveling together, both merchants introspect separately. If you interact, this will either be a scene between you and another player merchant if you're traveling together, or with a special item or traveler if you're traveling alone. Special items and travelers can be picked up in certain towns and join you on your wagon. We'll explain how that works later. To interact with the other merchant on your wagon, simply set a scene together and play it out. To interact with a special traveler or item, choose a conversation starter from the 3 on the card, and ask someone to jump in and play that item or traveler. They start the scene using the chosen prompt, and then you play it out and see what happens. Next, you will arrive in your first town. Each town has 2 wagon spaces. Do both the actions listed on the space before switching over to the other wagon. Once the other wagon has done the actions of their first wagon space, you will move your wagon to the second wagon space of your town and complete the actions there. When you arrive in town, you'll see the sights and sell your wares. Then you'll have a bit of leisure time to enjoy before buying new goods and setting off once again. So let's talk through each of those in turn. Let's start with arriving in town. Read the town description for the current season aloud. Then answer that season's questions by choosing a goods card from the array and adding extra details to flesh out your response. When you're done, place the chosen goods card next to the town. This good is available to buy in this town. Next, it's time to complete the disembarking action and sell a good from your wagon. Choose a good in your wagon to disembark. If you have a town specialist, they'll complete this action. Read the section marked with the disembarking symbol aloud, then go through the questions to show a little vignette connected to your sale of the good. As you look at the questions, you'll notice they are preceded by 2 different symbols. Questions with a star are answered by the player performing the action. Questions with an arrow are answered by a player from the other wagon. So here's what happens if I sell the Globosp honey. The tiny bakery is bustling with people. You can barely fit your crates among the ruckus. Weaving and bobbing through elbows and shoulders, you catch a glimpse. Now this question has an arrow, which means it's answered by a player from the other wagon. What has drawn the crowd? And they might say, the unveiling of the latest creation of the bakery, a 3-tiered cake for the prince's wedding. The second question has a star, which means it's for me. And it says, do you stay and partake in the fuss? I'd get to decide whether my character would do that, but I'm gonna guess that they will, because who can resist cake? When you're done, tuck the good under the town with the bottom section showing. You can also drop off any special items or travelers. If you do, answer the disembarking questions, then leave their card next to the town. As you wait for goods to be prepared and arrange deals in town, you find yourself with a little time on your hands. In Town Leisure, we find out how you spent it. To take the Town Leisure action, choose one of the leisure options available in town or make up a scene of your own. If you're traveling together, each player chooses their own leisure option. Once you've chosen an option, read it aloud and answer the questions. Then play out the moment as a scene. You can ask other players to play any other characters required. Lastly, choose a good to buy from those available in town. Flip it wagon side up and place it in your wagon. If there's a special item or traveler here and you're traveling alone, you can choose to add them to your wagon now as well. Continue taking turns, moving your wagon along the route until you have both finished the first 2 towns. Then, halfway through your journey, summer gives way to autumnal leaves and cool winds. To change the seasons, flip all the roads over to their autumn side. From this point, you'll journey through the towns where the other wagon has been before. When you arrive in town, read the autumn description found in the bottom half of the town card. Once you've visited all 4 towns, it's time to end your journey and return to your hometown for winter. Place your short road autumn side up between your current location and your hometown. Move your wagon to the short road and answer the question, then continue on to your hometown. Once both wagons have returned, it's time to finish the game with a few last steps now you're home for winter. First, drop off any special items or travelers still in your wagon. Second, reunite with each other. Play out a scene where your merchants finally see each other again. You may wish to give gifts, using the items still on your wagon for inspiration. Third, end your game by describing a short vignette that reveals what you got up to over the winter. You can use the winter prompts from your leftover wagon goods for inspiration, or go with an idea of your own. When you're on a journey, it's important to look out for the well-being of those around you. Pause the game and check in if you or a person you're playing with feel uncomfortable. You can find useful tools to help with this on page 42 of the rulebook. On page 44, you'll find a link to the solo game rules if you'd like to journey by yourself. Keep reading from there to find the Letters expansion and the rules for multi-year play. And that is everything you need to get started with Saltfish and Almanacs. We hope you enjoy your travels.